Hi everyone, welcome to White City Place Connect, where we're offering occupiers of White City Place a live platform from which to learn from the comfort and safety of your own home. My name's Dora, welcome to our Wednesday lunchtime yoga session. Let's begin on our mats in a child's pose. So coming onto the shins, bringing the big toes to touch. The knees are slightly wider than the hips here. Just take a hold of the buttocks and draw the flesh of the buttocks back as you hook your sit bones over your heels. So kind of like a little anchor there. And then lay the front of your body over your thighs and we'll in fact stretch the arms forward here. Grab a hold of the outer edges of your mat. Just wrap the fingers underneath. And quite actively draw the mat forward. So if you're trying to stretch your sticky mat, sending the energy through the spine so the hips draw towards the heels. And then slide the hands back now so the thumbs are almost in line with the cheekbones, palms are flat on the floor. And perhaps the forehead comes to the earth. Now, if this causes the hips to be really high and there's a lot of pressure on the forehead, you could place a cushion or a block or a brick underneath the forehead. And then roll across the forehead from point to point. Massaging the frontal lobe of the brain, the thinking part of our brain. We won't be needing that too much for the next hour. It's a calming effect on the cerebral cortex. It can also help to relieve any sinus pressure, especially in the change of season. So without using your neck muscles too much, rather rolling from point to point. Come to the center of the forehead, engage the pelvic floor, lightly lift the pelvic floor, and on the inhale, lift your hips off your heels and roll from the forehead towards the top of the head. You may not make it all the way there. Use your hands to support the amount of weight that moves down through your neck, and then roll down on your exhale. Inhale, pelvic floor lifts. Hips float off, roll from forehead towards the crown of the head, and as you exhale, roll down. A few more times, using your hands to support your neck. And the cranial bones have some movement within them, within the fascias, where the plates of the skull meet. So this can release the pressure in the head. All the nerve endings are in the top of the skull also. And then release. Great. Lifting your heads a little bit, stretch your arms forward again. This time we're going to come onto the tips of the fingers and bring the tips of your thumbs to touch. So you've made some little tense hands here, little cups with your hands. Like this. Center of each palm is lifted. Draw the arm bones back into the sockets, curl the outer shoulder blades around and down. So you're spreading the shoulders and release the head back to the floor or just slightly lifted off the floor. And have a sense of the muscles around your shoulder blades. Engage these muscles so as not to rely on the more fragile rotator cuff muscles, which are more supporting muscles, the muscles we want to be using for strength or even overstretching. And then let's walk the hands out to the side so the arms are in an aeroplane position. in line with the shoulders, still in your child's pose, forehead down, your arms will be here. Lift your shoulder heads away from the floor and draw the shoulder blades down the back so you're engaging the shoulders here. Reach your fingers back a little bit more, so towards the little toes. And then interlace the fingers and rest the thumbs on the sacrum. And just allow the thumbs here to create a bit more heaviness and length through the tailbone. Perhaps you're lifting your knuckles off the back and rolling across the forehead again towards the left temple, left shoulder to knee. Look up towards the right. Inhale. Exhale, roll across, right shoulder to right knee. Look up towards the left. One more time each side. Exhaling. So a little twist of the upper body. Inhale. Exhaling. Inhaling. Come back through to the center. Drop your thumbs onto your sacrum. Stretch the arms out in front of you once again. And come up onto your hands and your knees. Bring the shins parallel like train tracks, hips above the knees. And pop up again onto the tips of the fingers. So there's a lift to the chest and a broadening from shoulder to shoulder. Take our cat and cow here, so as you exhale, lift and round the spine. Inhale, lift your heart and broaden your sit bones. Tips of the shoulders and hips move towards one another. Exhale, lift and round the spine. Move from your navel. Inhaling, extending. Tops of the feet stay pressed to the floor. Exhale. Inhale. Plant the palms down into the earth. Pour the weight into your hands. And make sure your hands are a little bit further forward from your shoulders today. Tuck your toes and float your knees off the floor. Just hovering the knees. Take 3 cat and cows here. So as you exhale, lift and round your spine. Without the knees lifting, so the knees and shins stay super still. Just hovering. Inhale, lift the chest, lift the sit bones. Exhale, lift and round. Knees stay still. Inhale. Exhaling, last time, lengthen the fingers. Make sure the fingers aren't contracting back here. Inhale. And then press the belly towards the thighs so you're in a half down dog. Knees are bent, tracking over the middle 2 toes. Soften the elbows, scoop the armpits forward. Feet are hip distance apart. Lower your knees to the floor, come and sit down onto the heels, keeping the toes tucked, and stretch the arms even further forward, forehead to the earth. Inhaling, coming back up. Keep the hands where they are, so they're forward of the shoulders. Float the knees once again, draw the shoulder blades up the back, press the belly towards the thigh, rotate the pelvis on the top of the femur heads, lifting your tailbone. And then maybe you're going to pick up your right heel to right sit bone. The knees are apart, with the tailbone lifted. Where is the weight in your arms and hands? Take the ball of the foot back to the earth. Pick up your left heel to sit bone. Knees are slightly apart. Pelvic bones are square towards the mat. Placing the toes down. And then dive from the balls of the feet into your high plank. Keep the base of your skull lifted, inner thighs are lifted. Press the earth away from you. Lower your knees, chest and chin as you exhale, elbows in, and then slide the belly and the legs away. Point the toes. Lift your right leg and slightly internally rotate it. So you lift the inner thigh up and roll so all 5 toenails come to the floor. Do the same with the left leg, little internal rotation. Bury the pubis, lift the head slightly and start to roll the shoulders. So they brush the earth, they come up by the earlobes and down the back. Creating some juice and space and warmth in the shoulder joints. And the next time the shoulders draw down the back, baby cobra as you energetically pull the hands back towards you. Releasing down. Push into the hands, onto the knees. Tuck your toes. Float your knees off the floor. Press your belly towards your thighs. Half down dog again. So we're working with the knees halfway bent so we can find that pelvic tilt. Free up the lower back. Pick the right heel to the right sit bone. Foot is flexed. And then angle the knee towards the wall behind you and maybe up towards the ceiling. So both knees are bent, right heel to sit bone, hips relatively square. Working towards an even amount of weight through both arms and hands. Take the ball of the foot back to the floor. Pick up your left heel to sit bone, knees are slightly apart. Start to point the knee towards the wall behind you. Pelvic bones square to the earth. Maybe lift the knee up. Both knees are bending. Take the ball of the foot back to the floor. Hip distance apart. Dive away from the balls of the feet into your high plank. Lower your knees, chest and chin as you exhale. Slide the belly and the legs away from you. And make these little cups with your hands again as you take the fingers off the mat and onto the floor. Shrug your shoulder blades down your back and your chest is lifting a little bit. Slide the lower ribs forward. Let's rotate the left shoulder head forward. You might even touch the earth and look towards your right shoulder or right elbow. The forward rotation of the shoulder head. Coming back, rotate the right shoulder head forward. Maybe the top of the shoulder comes to the floor. Look towards your left elbow. And then coming back up, shoulder blades down the back. Maybe lift a tiny bit higher, but without compressing in the lower back or overly squeezing the glutes. They're going to be engaged. Release down. Take your thumbs underneath the shoulders. Push back onto hands and knees. Tuck your toes. Float the knees off. Come through a half down dog and this time begin to extend, lengthening, broadening through the backs of the knee joints. Stretching your heels towards the back mat. And imagine that your fingers and your toes are extending from your wrists and ankles, way beyond their tips. Like long roots growing forward. Never really static here as we breathe. Just having the fluidity in the spine to make these little adjustments. To find that energetic line from the perineum through the crown of the head. Let's walk the hands back towards the feet. So you're going to be standing at the back of your mat with your feet hip distance apart, about 2 fists in between the inner arches, knees traveling over the middle 2 toes. Bend your knees as much as you need to have the fingertips on the floor, and let your head hang off your spine. Maybe nod and shake your head. Take the fingertips behind the base of the skull, opening the elbows wide. Lift and lengthen your heart a little as you slide the belly over the tops of your thighs and rotate your chest to the right. The hips may swing a little bit, that's fine. Come back through to the center. Turn the chest to the left. Come back through to the center. Press the skull into the fingers as you come into a flat back. Knitting the lower ribs. Lifting the back of the heart, base of the skull. And then bending the knees so the belly can almost rest on your thighs. Shift the weight forward towards the balls of the feet, lifting the heels. And then start to come and sit down on the heels. The heels stay high, bit of a wobble. Stretching your arms up, drop your knees in line with your hips. And lean back against an imaginary wall. So the wall is supporting you here, helping you to balance, giving you a sense of the space around you. You're releasing the fingertips to the floor. Lift your heels even higher, sliding knees to cheeks. And the back of the body is going to round like a shell. Tuck your chin in slightly. So spreading, widening the back body. You're starting to lift your hips. Sink your heels. Let your fingers slide back in front of the toes. Hanging once again. And reaching your arms forward. Come all the way up to standing slowly. Melt the shoulders, rise up onto the balls of the feet. Bring the roof of your mouth over the diaphragm, over the pelvic floor. And can you walk towards the front of your mat on your tippy toes? Bring all the way to the front. Feet are hip distance apart. Coming into drinking bird, softening the knees, start to hinge from the hips. Coming forward, arms reach by your side, still high onto the balls of the feet, as if you were to dip your beak into the water. Soften the heels to the floor, sweep your arms forward, Utkatasana. Fly forward, take the fingertips to the earth, exhale. Inhale, lift and lengthen your heart. Exhale, step back with your left toes into your lunge. Root the feet down and sweep your arms forward by your ears. Lengthen the tailbone. Squeeze the inner thighs as if you were trying to hold a piece of glass between your thighs. Exhale, bend the back knee, it just hovers. Inhale, extend. Exhale, bend the back knee, it's just hovering off the floor. Inhale, extend. Exhale, slowly touch the left knee to the floor. Slide the heart up the sternum. You come into your lunge and then slip the fingers behind the skull once again. Keep a little lift to the pit of the belly, elbows are wide. Sliding the hands as if on a slippery surface behind you. Inhale. Exhale, sweep the arms down by your sides. And you can take these drinking bird arms once again, lifting the toes. Or have the fingertips underneath the shoulders if you need more support and stability. Your choice. Both are good choices. As you take the weight onto your right foot, slip the left fingertips in line with the toes. Start to twist towards the right knee, turning your right arm towards the wall you're facing. Reach back with that right arm. Maybe lift the thumb so it's on a diagonal. This might be enough, or you can lift your tailbone. Hinge back again. Keep your right big toe joint grounded. Take the back arm up and over. Hands planted either side of the front foot. Lift the back knee. Step back into a high plank. Lower knees, chest and chin. Or you could take your chaturanga, cobra, or up dog. Lift your navel, tuck toes, downward facing dog. Let the elbows broaden, widen a little. Lift your tailbone and take a little down dog press up. So imagine the hairline was to come to the floor. Exhale. Inhale, push up. Beautiful. Pick up right heel to right sit bone. This time you're going to point the foot. And then send the arrow of your toes up towards the ceiling. Inhale. Exhale, come forward, knee to nose. Bend the left knee also, so both knees bend. Inhale, unfold. Exhale, both knees bend. Inhale, unfold. Exhale, both knees bend. Straighten the left leg, pulse back a little, and step the foot in between the hands. Glide your back foot forward to fold. Soften and squish the feet into the earth. Reach your arms forward to come all the way up. And rock up onto the balls of your feet. Melt the shoulders. Wonderful. High on the toes. Make sure the toes are spread. Soften the knees a little and start to pivot from the hips. Hinge from the hips as you come forward into your drinking bird. Reach the fingers back like your tail feathers of your wings to help counterbalance, as if you were to take a sip from the lake. Soften the heels, sweep your arms forward. Utkatasana, exhale, dive. Inhale, lift and lengthen your heart. Exhale, step back with your right toes. Good. Roll the inner thighs, tops of your inner thighs towards one another. Scissor them in towards your midline. Reach your arms forward so you're laying over your thigh. Lift your thumbs. Tailbone lengthens. Bend your back knee. It hovers as you exhale. Inhale, extend. And again. Exhale, back knee hovers. Inhale, extend. Exhale, back knee comes to the floor. Lift the heart. Lift up. Take the fingertips behind the back of the skull. Slide the backs of the hands along a slippery surface. And then come forward with the arms and back. Lifting your left toes, either arms by your sides, or if you need more support, more stability, let the fingers float underneath the shoulders. Keep the back of the neck long and soft. The base of the skull is broad. And as you take the weight back onto your left foot, right fingertips drift in line with the toes. Twist towards the front knee as you turn your left palm out. Reach back, maybe on a diagonal. And maybe the tailbone lifts, hinging back a fraction. I'm keeping my left big toe rooted down here. Take the back arm up and over. Take the hands to the floor. Lift the back knee. Step back into a high plank. Either chaturanga, up dog, or knees, chest and chin. I'm demonstrating more of a beginner's vinyasa. Tuck toes, downward facing dog. Soften the elbows. Curl the outer edges of your shoulder blades around and down. Bend the elbows wide. Take a down dog press up. So keep the shape of your down dog, your inverted V. Imagine the hairline were to come to the floor and then push back up. Left heel to left sit bone, point the toes. Reach the leg up towards the ceiling as you inhale. Exhale, bring the knee forward and bend the right knee also. Inhale, extend. Exhale, bending. Inhale. Exhaling, extending your right leg only. Pulse back. Scoop up the belly, step the left foot forward. Glide your back foot towards the front, feet are hip distance apart. Soften the head and neck. And reach forward. Come all the way up to standing. Flying forward to the second vinyasa, release the fingertips to the floor. Lift and lengthen your heart. Step back with your left toes into your lunge. Root down to the feet, brush the arms by the ears. Just once this time, bend your back knee as you exhale. Inhale, extend. Exhale, lower the back knee down. Lift the chest. Reach back with the thumbs. As you exhale, lift the back knee again, sweep the arms down by your sides. Begin to straighten the front leg a little bit. Curl the shoulders around. Maybe the back heel lifts, belly lengthening over the thigh. Great, and floating the fingertips either side of your front foot. Bend your front knee, back heel comes down, left heel comes down. Right hand inside the foot, inside the heel. Raise your left arm up, Pajvakonasana. This is the inhale. As you exhale, take the hands either side of the front foot. Swivel up the back heel and begin to straighten the legs. So we're going to do that 2 more times with the breath. Bend your front knee, right hand inside, back heel down. Inhale. Exhaling, hands either side. Hamstring stretch. 1 more time. Right hand inside, back heel down. Lean into the right knee, raise the left arm. Exhaling and bending your right knee. Take the left fingertips in line with the toes. Sweep your right arm back, maybe on a diagonal. And again, you might be straightening the leg a little bit. It's like a reverse triangle, a variation on a reverse triangle. Good. Taking the arm all the way over, bending the knees. Step back into a high plank. Knees, chest and chin, or chaturanga, up dog. Lift your navel, tuck your toes, downward facing dog. Melt the shoulders, slide them up the back. Maybe walk the toes an inch forward towards the hands. Keep the shape of your down dog. Maybe another inch or 2. You might have another go in you. Without bending the knees too much. So you've quite a lot shortened your down dog here. Take the weight into the right hand. Left hand comes across to the outer right ankle. And spin your gaze underneath the right armpit. Little twist for the upper body. Take the hands back to the floor and continue to walk your feet back towards the front of the mat, or forward towards the front of the mat. Let your head go. Reach your arms forward. Come all the way up to standing as you inhale and exhale straight through to the second side as you fold. Inhale, lift and lengthen your heart. Exhale, step back with your right toes. Lengthen your tailbone. Roll the tops of your thighs towards your midline so the legs are stable and secure. Reach your arms forward. Bend your back knee as you exhale. Inhale, extend. Exhale, back knee lowers. Lift the chest. Lean back a little. Arms sweep down by your sides as the back knee lifts again. Begin to straighten the front leg. Roll the shoulders around. Palms face one another. Maybe the back heel lifts. Big toe joint stays rooted down. Great. Bending the front knee. Float the right fingertips in line. Or both hands actually. Left hand comes to the inside of the ankle. Right heel down. Open up your right arm. Parshakanasana, inhale. Exhale, hands either side. Swivel up the back heel. Begin to straighten the front leg. Bend your front knee, back heel down. Hand inside. Right arm rises. Hands either side. Swivel up and hinge back. One more time. One breath, one movement. Inhale. Exhaling. Again, bending the left knee. Right fingertips in line with the toes. Left arm reaches back. Maybe lift a little higher on a diagonal with the arm. And then you could begin to send your hips up and back. Couple of breaths. A little twisted triangle variation. Take the arm all the way over, plant the palms. Step back into a high plank. Lower knees, chest and chin. Or chaturanga. Cobra up dog. Back into a downward facing dog. And you walk the toes forward a couple of inches. Maybe a couple more. Maybe a little bit more. Still, it's like a very, very short down dog. Take the weight into the left hand. Right hand comes across onto the opposite ankle or shin. Chest and heart turn, spin underneath the armpit. Great, and then take the hands back to the floor and walk your toes all the way towards the front of the mat. Let yourself hang. Reaching forward and up, all the way up to standing as you inhale. Exhale, this time hands into prayer, thumbs down towards your heart. Take a moment, just close your eyes. Let go of everything you've just done, everything that's to come. Soften the backs of the knees and the skin of your feet. From the navel, everything roots. From the navel, everything rises. You can inhale. Exhale, release the arms down. Reaching your arms up. And fly forward. Touch the earth. Lift and lengthen. Step back with your left toes into your lunge. Lengthen your tailbone, brush the arms forward. Lower your back knee down as the chest lifts, fingers slip behind the base of your skull. As you come forward over your right thigh, this time lift the back knee, shift the weight over and raise up your left leg. So it's a warrior three but with a bent supporting leg. Elbows lifted. Can you pull that left knee in and reach the arms back so the knees are apart, heel to sit bone. Reach back again with the toes. Take them to the floor. Reach your left arm forward and circle the arm into a warrior two. And take a few moments to find this pose. Back hip rotates around so that when you press away from the front foot, the energy passes freely across the sacrum and into the back leg. Lift down to the waist as you inhale. Exhale, right fingertips drift to the floor. Left arm rises. So maybe wrap the top arm around the back of the waist, half binds. This might be enough. You could bend the knee a little more, slide the shoulder down, and reach underneath the thigh, interlocking a finger or two for your bind, curling your right sit bone underneath you. And then releasing, so maybe the right hand stays outside the foot, the arm stays underneath the thigh, swivel up the back heel. So right arm might be underneath the right thigh, creating a little shelf. Lift your front heel, so shift the weight back to help that happen. Float the toes around the foot and step back into a downward facing dog. Slide the shoulder blades up the back. Wonderful. Pick up the right heel to sit bone, point the toe. Reach the leg up towards the sky, inhale. Exhale, step the foot in between the hands. Bring the ball of your left foot forward so the heel is lifted. And then from your navel, can you root through your right leg and let your left knee come up with you. Cross the thigh over so there's no gap. And press the ball of the foot out. Press back through the tops of your thighs. It's like you're crossing your legs seated on a chair. It's an open Garudasana. And then keep the chest slightly lifted. Squeeze the inner thighs. Float your left toes to the floor in front of you. And maybe float the fingertips to the floor. And we may see if we can come and sit all the way down on the heel. And then take that left foot even further forward if you want more stability. Heel comes onto the floor. Maybe hands to the heart in prayer. Just for a second or two. Take the fingertips to the earth. Lift your tailbone, begin to straighten the legs. The left leg is in front of the right. Maybe forehead to shin, it is quite strong. And then bend the knees. Take the right foot back. Wiggle the feet to the center. And just for a moment, drop down onto the heels. Separate the knees. Sink your hips. And maybe the hands come flat or even the forearms come to the floor. Malasana, pressing the big toe joints down. As you come up, squeeze the knees together. Lift the heels really high again. Cheeks to knees, round the back. Make sure your little toes are not curled under there, so release them. Stay high on the balls of your feet as you lift your sit bones. And sink your heels. Heel to the feet, hip distance. Reach your arms forward, coming all the way up to standing. And palms come down your midline to your heart. Take an inhale into your heart space, exhale, release the arms. Reach the arms up as you inhale. Exhale, fly forward, touch the earth. Lift and lengthen. Step back with your right toes. Lengthen the tailbone, arms float forward by your ears. Softly lower the back knee, chest lifts. Reach back and slip the hands onto the base of your skull. As you come forward over the thigh, lift the back knee. Keep the elbows lifted. You might need to hop that back leg in a little bit. Raise up the back leg. Left knee stays bent. So variation on a warrior 3. Pull the knee in and reach the arms back. So it's a variation on your drinking bird. Extend the right toes, take them to the floor. Right arm reaches forward and it takes you into your warrior 2. Take a moment to find this pose and really arrive. Inhale, lift out of the waist. Left fingertips come inside of the foot. Right arm is rising. And maybe wrap the right arm around the back of the waist. Half bind. Try to avoid shortening the back of the neck so chin is slightly in. Maybe bend the front knee a little bit more. Slide the shoulder down and then the arm can reach underneath the leg, closer towards the top of the thigh. You could interlock a finger or maybe make it 2 or 3. The left sit bone glides underneath you. And as you release this, if you're in a full bind, the left arm is already underneath the thigh. So take it to the outside of the foot. Right hand inside. Swivel around into a lunge. So you made a little shelf there. Shift the weight back. So the heel can float and the toes circle around the hand. Step back. Downward facing dog. Couple of breaths here, sliding the shoulder blades up the back. Pick your left heel to left sit bone. Stretch the leg up as you inhale. Exhale, bend the knee through, step the foot in between the hands. Bring the ball of your right foot to the floor, lifting the heel. I'm going to demonstrate this front ways now, so that might help. Coming all the way up with your right knee. Crossing the right thigh over so there's no gap. And then sending the hips back. So it's like an Utkatasana here. Lifting the chest. The energy moves out to the shin and the ball of the foot. Squeeze your inner thighs together for stability. And then these right toes are going to drift to the floor. Take the fingertips to the earth and come and sit all the way down if you can. And just shift the right foot forward so maybe it's flat on the floor. The heel is in the center, the base of the spine. Tailbone. Hands into prayer. This is a seated Garudasana. Take the fingertips back to the earth. Maybe you're going to lift your sit bones. Both heels can come down. Knees may be partially bent. You may be straightening the legs, forehead to shin. And bending the knees and taking your right foot back in line or together. Drop down again into a squat. Separate the knees. Malasana. Sit bones sink, maybe palms to the floor, maybe forearms. Or for the full expression of the pose, the upper arms come inside the shins, arms out to the sides, like we did in our child's pose. Maybe even wrap the arms and take a hold of the heels, so your arms become the garland of flowers. Mala means garland. Show this sideways also. Big toe joints press to the earth. And then coming up out of this, bring the knees together again. Lift the heels, cheeks to knees, let the back round. Lift your sit bones high. Sinking your heels, separating the feet. And coming all the way up to standing. So last little standing vinyasa. Come towards the front of the mat. Dive forward again as you exhale. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, step back with your left toes. So it's kind of our third variation on Parshakanasana. Take the right fingertips across towards the left corner of your mat. Back heel down, lean the shoulder inside of the knee and open up the left arm on a diagonal. So it's a really stretchy Parshakanasana. You're reaching out from your navel in all directions. Take the fingertips back either side of the front foot, swivel up the heel and reach forward with your fingertips. So again, the sides of the body are long. Slide your hands back so they're maybe underneath the shoulders. And see if you can drag your right foot back along the mat. Place your left heel down, pyramid pose. Draw the right thigh bone up into the socket. If this is too low, you could be on the tips of the fingers. You could have your hand on the shin, hands on the shin. If this might be enough, or plant the palms. My back heel is down, the left toes are turning out about 10 degrees. And the right leg's going to come up. I'm going to open up the hip. The foot is flexed. Take the weight into the right hand and maybe the left hand comes onto the ankle as you press the shin away. And see if you're trying to stretch the mat between your right hand and your left foot. Hand comes back to the floor. Sweep the right leg down. Let's lower the knees. I think a little rest in child's pose, just for a few breaths. Let the forehead come maybe onto the backs of the hands. You can sway your hips over your heels. Just this last side to go. Good. Stretch the arms forward. Inhale onto hands and knees. Tuck your toes. Exhale, downward facing dog. Walk the toes forward a couple of inches. A couple more. Couple more, all the way to the front of the mat. Reach your arms forward to come up. And fly forward once again, touching the earth. Lift and lengthen your heart. Step back with your right toes. Left hand comes across towards the front corner of the mat. Back heel down, open up your right arm. So it's a stretchy Parshakanasana. And the left shoulder blade leans back into the leg or the inner knee. Top arm comes over, stretching forward. Swivel up the back heel, square the hips. Slide the hands back, draw them back. Maybe the flats of the hands come underneath the shoulders. Suck or drag your left foot back and place the back heel down for pyramid pose. You can come up a little bit if that's too low. Palms plant down. Left leg's going to come up behind you. My right foot stays down. So slightly shorter pose. I need to open up my hip here. And maybe the right hand presses against the ankle or the shin. Hand comes back to the floor. Leg comes to the earth. Lower the knees, flatten the feet. Child's pose. Just walking the hands back towards you as you come and sit up on the heels. Let's bring the knees together, sink the hips to one side and stretch your legs out in front of you. Great. take the left foot and place it underneath the top of the thigh. And bend your right foot so the foot is flat, or bend the right knee so the foot is flat. Reach inside the knee with the right hand. Take a hold of the outer foot. Left fingertips come onto the floor. And take like a happy baby here. Half happy baby seated. Then can you shift the weight all the way over onto the left sit bone so your right sit bone is lifted? And just spiral the whole body around towards the back. This is the inhale and exhale. So my right sit bone is all the way off the floor. I'm spiraling around the spine, just taking in the view. Inhaling, exhaling. Coming back. Right sit bone really lifted. Maybe you're extending the leg, looking up towards the big toe. And as you come back, bend the knee and place the right ankle onto the top of the thigh. So it's floating off the floor here. So rather than a double pigeon, the bottom shin is angling back rather than stacked here. I'm not sitting on the heel, however, so you may need to move the foot slightly forward. You could stay here, you could take a twist, left hand onto the knee, right thumb behind you, or arm over the top. Couple of breaths. And as you float your shoulders back around towards the front, place the right foot on the floor, let the right sit bone lift again, and walk the hands over towards the short edge of your mat. So you're inside. Bend your elbows, let your gaze turn towards the back wall as the heart drops. And then push into the hands as you come back. Lean back, and we're just going to stretch the legs forward. Great. Take your right foot underneath the top of the left thigh. Bend the left knee, place the foot flat to the floor. Arm comes inside and it kind of spirals over to take a hold of the outer edge of the foot. Right fingertips to the floor. Kick your heel forward so you come into almost like a happy baby pose there. Now lift that sit bone, so you're going to just pivot on your right sit bone now. Spiral around, gazing towards the big toe as you inhale and exhale. So the whole time the sit bone stays off, pivot and then release back. And inhaling, exhaling. Inhale, maybe hold it here, maybe extend the leg as you look up towards the big toe. Bending the knee and placing the ankle onto the top of the thigh. Wiggle the bottom foot slightly forward if you need to, so you can start to let that left sit bone drop down now. Keep the foot flexed, you can stay here, just facing forward. You could take a twist, so left thumb behind you, right hand onto the knee, or over the top of the knee. Please be careful not to force your spine in this scenario by using too much leverage. Floating around. Left foot comes onto the floor. Walk your hands towards the short edge of your mat. And give yourself a bit of space there, hands quite forward. The sit bone lifts again. Turn your heart and your gaze behind you. Bend in the elbows. And then coming back up. Great. Lean back just to release the legs. Feet hip distance apart. Come towards your sit bones with your heels. Reach forward and start to come down as you exhale. All the way to the floor. Lovely. Let's maybe raise the arms up and over the head. And just drop the knees from left to right, like windscreen wipers, just nice and easy. This is just a releasing, neutralizing, little rolling twist here. Come to the center and draw your knees towards your chest. Maybe bring the knees together, relax the toes and circle the knees in one direction. So even though we're coming to the end of our practice, can you remain present? Present to the sensation of passing around the outer rim of your pelvis. Opposite direction. Take your feet to the floor. Bring your arms down by your sides and stretch your legs out for Shavasana. And notice if there's any resistance to being here and being still for the last few moments. Let yourself receive all the benefits of your practice here. Rest in the self, with the self. Notice if there are any little pockets of tension that you can dissolve so as to receive gravity more fully. Of course, you may stay here. One of the joys of practicing from home. If you have a little extra time and you're just really enjoying this. Or if you wish to conclude your practice with me, then begin your journey back into the physical body. Having a sense of the whole body. And the whole body gently breathing. Make some small movements or reach your arms overhead and give yourself a big stretch. And make sure you're back in your skin. And then make your way over to the right side. And perhaps still with your eyes closed, back to any comfortable seat. Bring your hands to your heart in prayer and raise the tips of your fingers to your forehead for clarity of thought. To your lips for satya, truthfulness of word. and to your heart for love in action. And with an open heart, and perhaps a slightly more spacious mind, gently open your eyes. Namaste. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good rest of your week. Hope to see you soon. Bye.